This is Mac OS Ken.
An apparent marketing misfire for Apple, union news for Apple retail, and Disney is making a show that almost nobody can watch. It is Monday, the 13th of May, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Pen Chalet, selling exquisite fountain pens for over 10 years with special offers for Mac OS Ken listeners at penchalet.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. For a company that often crushes the messaging, Apple's Crush promotional video for iPad Pro seems to have fallen flat. The symbolism of indiscriminately crushing beautiful creative tools is an interesting choice, was a comment on Twitter cited by iMore. I don't know that this was the most important story of the past few days, probably wasn't, and yet it certainly seems to have been the biggest. Now, when I was watching it happen while I was away, I assumed it was just a few people grousing on the socials, one side complaining about the ad and the message they saw it sending, the other complaining about the first group of complainers. Then I started gathering news, which is when I spotted headlines about the ad on Apple Insider, Business Insider, TechCrunch, Reuters, the Chicago Tribune, CBS News, and honestly, I could keep going, but you get the point. If you've no idea what we're talking about, I am so jealous. Also, let me explain. To demonstrate all the things you can do with an iPad Pro, Apple made a video. The ad featured all sorts of creative tools: a trumpet, a piano, cans of paint, a metronome, an easel, a dress form, an animation table, an audio mixer, a Luxo lamp, as seen at the beginning of every Pixar movie. Then they threw in some fun features: a chess set, 3D representations of emoji, some LP records, some journals, a stuffed animal of some sort, and one angry bird, as seen in the video game Angry Birds. All of these things were then crushed at once in a hydraulic press, which lifts back to reveal an iPad Pro. See, what Apple has done is put all of those tools into one device. Thing is, that's not the way a lot of people saw the ad. Now, a lot of articles I saw relied on a lot of rando Twitter takes, which, okay, if you wanna, you can talk about how nice the weather is where you are, and people on Twitter will attack you, so, I don't know. The site Tech Report posted a few interesting sourced takes. The editor of the Japanese tech site Thunderbolt posted to Twitter, "I felt sad when I saw creative tools such as musical instruments and cameras being destroyed. I don't think the creators will like this video. Is it my Japanese sensibility that makes me feel this way?" The actor and Hacked Off board member Hugh Grant hit Twitter with his take, "The destruction of the human experience, courtesy of Silicon Valley." And the Wall Street Journal's Katie Dayton went to, you guessed it, Twitter, saying this ad perfectly encapsulates the insight that people think technology is killing everything we ever found joy in, and then presents that as a good thing. All of that was summed up in a piece from Ars Technica. Critics were upset about both the destruction of the objects themselves, whether those objects were physical or computer-generated or some mix of the two isn't clear, and about the symbolism of a big tech company destroying art and the things used to create and consume art. I will tell you what I posted on Mastodon. I thought the needless destruction of musical instruments and paint and toys in Apple's Crush ad was not great. There are people who would like those things who cannot afford them. I get that Apple's saying it's all in here, but there might have been a way to say that without the spectacle of destruction, without the wanton waste. Is this the end of the world? No. But a company that builds a rep on creating should maybe be less caustic in its messaging. Anyway, Apple has heard the hue and cry, and how could they not, and responded by apologizing. The Ars Technica piece I mentioned had Tor Myron, VP Marketing Communications at Apple, saying in a statement to Ad Age, "Creativity is in our DNA at Apple, and it's incredibly important to us to design products that empower creatives all over the world. Our goal is to always celebrate the myriad of ways users express themselves and bring their ideas to life through iPad. We missed the mark on this video, and we're sorry." Apple won't be taking the ad down, according to Ars Technica, but the company has apparently canceled plans to run it on TV. The other thing that supposedly had the Apple community in an uproar while I was away was not my being away. Lasai. No, the other thing that supposedly had the Apple community in an uproar while I was away was the lack of stickers coming with new iPads. Now, if you're like me, you've still got a couple of stickers for every Apple device you have ever bought new. I would imagine if I went back through all of my Apple boxes, all of which I have kept for some dumb reason, I'd find a slew of stickers that I've never stuck on anything. In fairness to me, I buy a lot of stickers I never stick on anything, but that's beside the point. It is an age-old truth, one that goes back to 1977, according to iMore. Apple devices come with Apple stickers, and that appears to be changing. Another piece on the issue, event, thing. Another piece on the lack of sticker stickiness from 9to5Mac says the iPad Air and iPad Pro models announced last week and landing in people's hands day after tomorrow will do so without the Apple logo decals. In a memo distributed to Apple Store teams last Tuesday and viewed by 9to5Mac, says 9to5Mac, Apple explained that Apple stickers will not be included in the box for the new iPad Pro and iPad Air. The company says that this is part of the environmental goals as it strives to ensure its packaging is completely plastic-free. You know what they should do? They should start including temporary tattoos. Or you can just ask for a sticker. The report says Apple retail locations will get a limited number of Apple stickers. Those can be given to customers who buy one of the new iPads if they ask for them. It's going to go great with the other 80 you've never put on anything. If you're like me. A try at forming a union has come apart at an Apple store. Apple Insider ran a piece over the weekend saying an attempt at unionization at the Short Pump Town Center Apple store in Short Hills, New Jersey, has failed in a vote among the store's workers. The report says workers there filed for union representation by the Communication Workers of America, or CWA, on the 8th of April. The CWA has since accused management of engaging in illegal anti-union campaigning. The organization has filed complaints with the National Labor Relations Board, according to the report. At the other end of the union fight, the first Apple store in the U.S. to unionize, and one of only two to have done so, has authorized a strike. TechCrunch says Apple Towson Town Center in Towson, Maryland voted on the move on Saturday. In a statement, the union said, "The vote today is the first step in demonstrating our solidarity and sends a clear message to Apple. The passage of the strike-sanctioned vote highlights the union's unwavering commitment to advocating for the rights and well-being of all workers in the face of challenges. As discussions with Apple management continue, we remain committed to securing tangible improvements that benefit all employees." Perhaps in an attempt to justify the move, the piece has the union pointing out that it has been negotiating with Apple since January 2023 over issues including work-life balance, unpredictable scheduling, and wages. Roughly 17 months later, the two sides have not reached an agreement on these issues. The date of this potential strike has yet to be determined, according to TechCrunch. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Pen Chalet. selling exquisite pens for over 10 years. I got an email from Carl last week telling me about his recent purchase from Pen Chalet. Yes, he says, I purchased the Lamy box set from Pen Chalet in blue and have thoroughly enjoyed using it. It's been 30 plus years since I've regularly held a fountain pen in my hand. I found it hard to take notes in grad school with a fountain pen, so switched back to a Bic stick pen. I know, lame, but I'm back writing regularly with my Lamy fine point fountain pen. Well, welcome back, Carl. For everyone else, if you have not held a fountain pen for years, or if you have never used a fountain pen once, I worked with Pen Chalet on starter boxes to get you into the fountain pen thing. Go to penchalet.com/MacOSKen and pick either the Pilot Metropolitan or a Lamy Safari starter box. Each comes with a Rhodia tablet, specially selected ink, and pen flush to maintain your pen's performance. Now those are all ready and bundled at a discount. Or, if you want to think outside the starter box, you can use code MOK10 for 10% off other purchases. Graduations are coming up. Father's Day's coming up. Fountain pens make great gifts for others, or treat yourself. Head to penchalet.com/MacOSKen. Check out the discounted starter boxes, or use code MOK10 for 10% off purchases besides a starter box. See what they have for you at penchalet.com/MacOSKen. And a big thanks to Pen Chalet for sponsoring today's show. macOS Sonoma played a tiny bit of catch-up last week. I told you midweek last week that Apple had seeded release candidates for iOS and iPadOS 17.5 to developers, along with release candidates for watchOS 10.5 and tvOS 17.5. For the macOS, Apple had released nothing new at that time. Then Thursday, 9 to 5 Mac ran a report saying a macOS Sonoma 14.5 release candidate was out to developers and public testers. With new iPads hitting day after tomorrow, updates for all of Apple's operating systems seem likely either today or tomorrow. visionOS likely not included. visionOS 1.2 had seen only developer betas and no release candidates as of last week. News of a huge production from Disney for a tiny number of people. Upload VR says Disney-owned Marvel and ILM Immersive are making What If, an immersive story, exclusively for Apple Vision Pro. Teased as releasing soon with more details to come, the report says Disney, Marvel, and ILM are promising to take fans across alternate Marvel histories in both VR and AR up close with animated characters from the Disney Plus series. And I thought I wanted an Apple Vision Pro before. Details are light still, according to Upload VR, but placing a Marvel fan at the center of a multiversal story with hand tracking certainly sounds intriguing. Shut up and give me money so I can say, shut up and take my money. And finally today, there was a rumor a couple of weeks back that the Apple TV Plus hit Ted Lasso was headed to Blu-ray. That has now shifted from rumor to fact. Apple Insider says fans of the show and people new to it can now pre-order Ted Lasso, the complete series, on Blu-ray or DVD. The Blu-ray will run buyers $84.99, while the DVD will come in at $10 less. May sound like a weird move for a couple of reasons. For one, Apple would see greater benefit keeping the show as a streaming exclusive. For another, Blu-rays, DVDs, and associated packaging are so much plastic. Thing is, it's probably not up to Apple. As 9 to 5 Mac explained when the deal was still in rumor stage, Ted Lasso was created and produced by Warner Brothers and licensed to Apple for streaming exclusivity and other rights. That is what allows for the creation of the disc release, as presumably Apple did not retain those physical media rights indefinitely. Both box sets are currently scheduled to ship on the 30th of July. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Pen Chalet, selling exquisite fountain pens for over 10 years with special offers for macOS Ken listeners at penchalet.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.